Hello, this is Erica with Launching Legacies. Welcome to our daily devotional. Today we are doing an individual devotional about the shifting wind. Now, this may seem a little bit unusual to you, or possibly if you have not seen passages or references as such in the Bible, but I'm going to give you some references and talk about what happens when the wind begins to shift. And so what am I talking about when I say the wind begins to shift? So yesterday, I think I was doing a devotional talking about a personal word of encouragement for my friends who were in transition. And I'm glad to say that most of them I've spoken with, and it sounds as though they are doing better. And that's a good thing. But I'll tell you, before I spoke with my friends and found out that they were doing better, I was praying for them. And I had already told you that yesterday, that I've been praying for them. From 2 days ago, or for the last few days, I've been praying. And so I was praying for my friends. And yesterday morning, pretty early, I was praying for my friends and their circumstances and their situations. And I felt the urge of a wind. And I'm not sure how to explain how that happens in prayer, but sometimes you just get a feeling, an intense feeling or an urge that something has happened. And so it felt like a wind had come from another direction. Like maybe it was still, and all of a sudden a wind gust came from one direction or another. And so I continued to pray for them, but my prayer, as I let the Lord lead it, started to kind of change a little bit. And so I started to pray more rejoicing things rather than help them, please help them, rescue them, encourage them. Then it was more like, thank you for giving them victory. Thank you that they're okay. I thank you that they have clear sight. I'm thanking you that they know that they're strong and that they can smile at the future. And so there was a shift in my prayer that coincided with this shift, this feeling of the wind shifting in another direction. And the Lord reminded me that this is a biblical concept. And so I want to share that with you and just encourage you that even in difficult situations when things are hard, for one, it's beautiful to know that people are praying for you. So I hope you're telling people to pray for you, because that prayer makes a difference. But two, after you're going through something and people are praying for you, know that the hand of God is who moves the circumstances. Know it's Him who changes things and changes direction. That the prayer is powerful, but because we're praying to a powerful God, and He can shift things, and He can move situations, and He can navigate a storm, and He can make peace where there needs to be peace, or He can move and create what may look like chaos for the benefit of something else. And so you want to be able to trust God, to know that He is the one that makes the change. And so let's talk about the wind. So in the Old Testament, the wind is used a lot to talk about either relief or judgment. And so what's happening here, for example, we'll go to the passage about Noah. Noah and his family, they're in the ark, and they've been in the ark all this time. And so what happens is the scripture says that the Lord remembered Noah. He remembered Noah and his dedication to the Lord, and He sent a strong wind that moved the waters away. I'm looking for that one right now. Sorry. I had just read it. Okay, yeah. And Genesis 8:1. And it says that God remembered and thought kindly of Noah and every living thing and all the animals that were in the ark, right? And then God made a wind blow over the land, and the waters receded. And so what happens is this wind comes to give them relief. They've been in this ark. They've been waiting. I'm sure they're tired. Everybody's tired. They've been in the ark with all these animals. And then God sends this wind, and the wind sends the waters, recedes the waters, and gives them relief, and they're able to leave the ark. And if we go further into the Israelites' deliverance from Egypt, we find that when they are being delivered from Egypt, they run into the sea, and they need to cross the sea. But it says that Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. This is Exodus 14:21. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord swept the sea back by a strong east wind, and all that night, and turned the seabed into dry land, and the waters were divided. And so what was the impetus? Again, the Lord used wind to shift the circumstances. So when it seemed overwhelming, when they were at the point of exhaustion, when something needed to happen, we see this occurrence of the wind moving things. And those are just two examples, but it actually happened a lot. The locust, when the locust had eaten up everything, is one of the plagues of Egypt. The wind took the locust out of there. It blew the locust out. But then also when the children of Israel needed quail, the wind brought the quail. And so it's interesting that what's happening is God is using this concept of the wind to bring things in and usher things out. And so this is what I want to encourage you with, and I want to kind of speak over you. Our God is the same God. He's the same God that receded the waters for Noah, that moved the sea for Moses. He's the same God. He's the God of Genesis, the God of Revelation, same God. And so he is still using this wind to shift things. Now, maybe it's not a physical wind, and sometimes maybe it is, but it's definitely a dynamic expression of God's power. And I want to encourage you to pray that way, to study wind. So I'm going to ask you, I used Bible Gateway this time because I wanted to pull up several references at the same time, but you could also use Blue Letter Bible and then just truncate, or so you put wind. Well, actually don't truncate it. Just put wind and search for wind. Truncate is the symbol that we use, the asterisk we use before a word to say that we want any variation of that word. But if you do that, you'll get window and wind. So don't do that. That'll give you windmill and window. Just use the word wind and search for it and see how many times God uses wind to rescue. And then also he uses it in as a form of judgment in different places. He brings new things in and brings things out. And sometimes that is the way that we need to remember God, that he is the changer of the wind. He's the shifter of the wind, and he can make the wind shift for you. And so I want you to be encouraged and not only study this concept of what God did in the Old Testament, but also to remember that your God is powerful enough to make the wind move. He can make it go in any direction. He can change the circumstances. And so we need to be praying to him, right? When we're overwhelmed, when we're in a storm, when we need relief, when we are unsure, pray. Pray, and let's see if God makes a shift in the winds or the circumstances of your life. All right. We're praying for you that you would heal, live, and grow. We're praying for you that you would have a deeper understanding of the magnitude and power of God, because it's a big deal. But then also, we're asking you for prayer. We're asking that you pray for Launching Legacies, that we would continue to heal, live, and grow. And we would be amazed and in awe of the spectacular power of God. We'll see you again Monday with another devotional. Until then, be blessed.